IShowSpeed is probably one of the most dangerous black men in the world right now. And not for the reason you think. Dangerous because he's dismantling centuries of propaganda in 60-second clips.
I didn't know Africa was such a beautiful country. They got cars, they got water, they got Wi-Fi.
It made us think Africa was such a poor country, bro.
Why are there cities and houses on the stream? Are you sure they just didn't secretly stream in Japan because they're supposed to live in mud huts with no technology?
Millions of Americans and Europeans are experiencing a complete psychological breakdown on social media. They're posting videos of themselves crying, actually crying. Some are angry, others are in shock. Many are sitting in stunned silence, staring at their screens, trying to process what they've just witnessed. What caused this mass crisis? IShowSpeed. Yes, IShowSpeed. A young man with a camera walked through African cities and simply pressed record. That's it. That's all it took to shatter 400 years of carefully constructed lies. And now, the people who built those lies are panicking, because once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. For centuries, the West has carefully curated the image of Africa that reaches global audiences. Through news reports, documentaries, charity advertisements, and Hollywood films, they have painted our continent with one brush: poverty, disease, desperation, and helplessness. This narrative has served them well. It justifies their humanitarian interventions. It legitimizes their continued extraction of our resources. It positions them as saviors while we remain perpetual victims in the global imagination. But then came Speed. Through his highly viral African tour, broadcast live and unfiltered to millions across the globe, IShowSpeed has shattered that carefully constructed illusion. His live streams from countries across our continent have become something far more significant than entertainment. They have become an act of digital decolonization, a counter-narrative so powerful that it has left Western audiences in a state of crisis, confusion, and even tears. The reactions have been nothing short of extraordinary. Across social media platforms, particularly TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter, American and European viewers who have spent their entire lives consuming Western media's portrayal of Africa are experiencing what can only be described as cognitive dissonance. They are watching Speed's streams and seeing vibrant cities with modern infrastructure, bustling markets filled with commerce, young people dressed in contemporary fashion, smartphones everywhere, luxury cars navigating well-paved roads, and crowds of thousands gathering not in desperation but in celebration.
What I really love and admire about IShowSpeed's Africa tour is the fact that he's showcasing Africa and all of its complexities and contradictions. He's not just going to the parts of our countries that are developed and have modern cities. He's also visiting communities that sit on the outskirts that are living more traditional agricultural sedentary lifestyles or nomadic lifestyles. He's visiting villages and meeting with community elders and royals. He's showing respect to all facets of our societies, which is what truly humanizes us, because Africa is a very complex continent with different sides to it, right? It's not fully modernized and it's not fully traditional. It's not fully perfect and it's not fully imperfect. It's all of it at once. And once you paint an honest image of Africa, then you show respect to everybody who lives within African societies, as opposed to just one part that is deemed more palatable based on Western criteria. But IShowSpeed has done a really good job at humanizing everybody, and I love that about him, and I hope he continues to do what he's doing, because this is honest representation that Africa has been lacking for a very long time. I think it's also important for people to realize that just because a country has infrastructure doesn't mean that country is thriving. Because I see a lot of comments under these videos of IShowSpeed visiting different African countries where people are saying, oh, Africa's not poor, look at all these cities that are developed, Africa's not poor. And it's just like, well, how do you define poor? Because sure, we have infrastructure in some of our countries, but is the wealth trickling down? A lot of these cities are built on foreign debt, and there is a lot of corruption, which is stifling our economic progress in some of our countries. So how do we define poor? Because sure, we have resources, but are the people benefiting from those resources? Are the taxes going towards healthcare, education, and housing? Are people able to save enough money? Are people able to achieve upward social mobility in these countries? You can't look at the aesthetic of a country and assume that it's thriving, because there's countries in the West, such as Europe and North America, that have adequate infrastructure, and yet homelessness is insanely high. Like, the way a country looks is not an indicator of how well it's thriving, and it's important to remember that.
These are not isolated reactions. They are flooding in by the thousands, representing a mass awakening to a truth that Pan-Africanists have been shouting for generations. Africa is not what they told you it is. The West is breaking down because iShowSpeed has committed the ultimate transgression. He has allowed millions of people to see Africa without their filter, without their editorial control, without their narrative framework. And in doing so,